You don't have to wait for everything in your life to line up perfectly before you decide to be happy. That's one of the greatest lies the world tells you, that happiness is somewhere out there, waiting for the right moment, the right relationship, the right paycheck, the right diagnosis. But real joy, deep, lasting joy, is not a destination. It's a decision. It's something you wake up and choose before your feet even hit the floor. It's not tied to what's going on around you. It's rooted in what's going on inside you. You've got to push yourself to be happy every day, even when life doesn't give you a reason. Because if you wait for a reason, you might never find one. You might be waiting months, years, or decades for something to change. You might keep praying for that storm to pass, that mountain to move, that door to open. And yes, God answers prayer. But what do you do in the meantime? What do you do on the Tuesday morning when the pain is still fresh and the problems are still staring you in the face? That's when your joy becomes a weapon. That's when your joy becomes your rebellion against despair. Because joy is not blind. It sees the hardship and it still says, I will not be defeated. Joy doesn't ignore your pain. It just refuses to let the pain dictate the direction of your life. Joy stands up in the face of adversity and says, I will praise anyway. I will smile anyway. I will live today, not just survive it. You see, the secret isn't in having an easy life. The secret is in developing a heart that can find beauty even in brokenness. It's pushing yourself to see the good when the bad is loud. It's waking up in a house that feels empty and saying, God, I thank you I still have life. It's opening the fridge and seeing very little, but still whispering, you are my provider. It's sitting in silence and loneliness, but still believing, I am never alone. That's strength. That's maturity. That's faith in motion. You may think it's fake to smile when you don't feel like it, but there's a difference between being fake and being faithful. Being fake is pretending the pain doesn't exist. Being faithful is saying, yes, it hurts, but I still believe something good is coming. That's the kind of joy that confuses the enemy, because the enemy expects you to quit. He expects you to break down, to give up, to spiral into self-pity and bitterness. But when you rise up and say, this day is a gift and I won't waste it, you're pushing back against the darkness with light. Don't let your emotions run your life. Don't let your feelings drag you into a pit you were never meant to live in. Feelings are real, but they're not always right. They'll tell you to isolate when you need community. They'll tell you to quit when you need to endure. They'll tell you that you're forgotten when you are fully known and deeply loved. You have to decide today that happiness is not something that happens to you. It's something you participate in. It's a discipline. It's a muscle, and it takes work. It takes work to smile when the weight of the world is on your shoulders. It takes work to sing when the tears won't stop falling. It takes work to be kind to others when no one's being kind to you. But that's what makes joy so powerful, because it's not just about being cheerful. It's about being rooted. Rooted in the truth that even in sorrow, there's still hope. Even in loss, there's still purpose. Even in silence, God is still speaking. So no matter what you're facing today, push yourself. Push yourself to find one thing to be grateful for. Push yourself to laugh, even if only for a moment. Push yourself to speak life over your situation. Push yourself to keep showing up, because happiness isn't passive. It's not something you stumble into. It's something you walk towards step by step, through valleys and shadows, through trials and tears. And every single day that you choose to be joyful when it would be easier to be bitter, you are becoming stronger. You are becoming more resilient. You are becoming the kind of person who cannot be shaken by storms. That is the power of joy. That is the strength of someone who knows who they are and who they belong to. So many people walk through life believing that their pain is proof that God has turned away from them. They think that if life hurts, it must mean they're being punished. But I want to tell you today, pain is not a punishment. It's preparation. The fire you're walking through isn't there to consume you. It's there to purify you. The valley you're stuck in is not where your story ends. It's where your strength begins. We all have moments where we question, why me? Moments when we feel abandoned, broken, and unsure of what God is doing. But what if the trial isn't there to tear you apart? It's there to build something in you that comfort never could. What if the storm is the classroom and the suffering is the lesson that leads to your greatest transformation? You see, nothing grows on the mountaintop. The mountaintop is beautiful, but growth doesn't happen there. Growth happens in the valley. Growth happens in the struggle. Growth happens in the dark, where the soil is rich with tears and the roots go deep. Some of you are carrying pain that no one else sees. You wake up every morning with a smile on your face and a storm in your soul. And you're wondering, how long do I have to walk through this wilderness? But hear me, God never wastes pain. Every tear you've cried, every burden you've carried, every heartbreak you've endured, it's not in vain. The pain you're walking through right now is producing something eternal in you, something strong, something unshakable. You may not see it now, but you will look back one day and say, that season nearly broke me, but it built me. That loss nearly crushed me, but it made me lean on God like never before. That disappointment shattered my plans, but it brought me to the place where I finally surrendered. Pain has a way of silencing your pride. It pulls away the distractions. It strips you down to the core and forces you to look up. And when you do, when you finally lift your eyes from your wounds and fix them on heaven, that's when healing begins. That's when purpose is born in the ashes. You don't become strong by skipping struggle. You don't learn patience or faith or perseverance by walking an easy road. It's in the fire that gold is refined. It's in the crushing that the oil flows. God is not punishing you. He's preparing you. He's equipping you with the kind of strength that only hardship can produce. And I know in the middle of it, it doesn't make sense. It feels unfair. It feels like too much. But He knows what He's doing. And when God prepares you, He doesn't just prepare you for survival. He prepares you for purpose. There is something on the other side of this that you can't yet see. There is someone you are becoming through this pain that you never would have met without it. And the world needs that version of you. The world needs the healed you. The world needs the wiser, more compassionate, more grounded you. But that version of you doesn't come through comfort. It comes through fire. And when the fire is over, you won't be burnt. You'll be brighter. You won't be better. You won't be empty. You'll be overflowing. And while you're walking through that pain, don't run from God. Don't shut down. Don't turn knitter. Lean in. Cry if you must, but cry in His presence. Wrestle with your questions, but don't lose your hope. You don't need to understand everything to trust Him. Sometimes the greatest expression of faith is not saying, I see what you're doing, but saying, I trust you even when I don't. And that kind of faith, faith in the furnace, shakes hell and touches heaven. You may not be able to avoid pain, but you can choose what it does to you. Let it make you softer, not harder. Let it humble you, not humiliate you. Let it push you closer to God, not further away. Because if you let Him, God will use your lowest moments to do His highest work. He will take your broken pieces and form a masterpiece. He will take your night and birth a new morning. But you've got to hold on. You've got to keep walking. You've got to believe that there's more to your story than what you're feeling right now. You're not being buried. You're being planted. And in due season, the seed of suffering will give way to a harvest of strength, of peace, of purpose. So don't curse your pain. Learn from it. Don't waste it. Use it. Let it drive you to the feet of the one who can redeem every wound and restore every loss. Because when this is over, and it will be, you'll stand taller, love deeper, and walk in a joy the world can't steal. The pain you're in today is the platform for who you are becoming tomorrow. If you want to protect your happiness, you have to protect your mind. That's where the battle is. That's where joy is either won or lost. Not in your bank account, not in your relationships, not in your body. The true fight is in your thoughts, because what you allow to grow in your mind will eventually show up in your life. If you let negativity settle in, it will start to seep into every conversation, every decision, every moment of your day. And before you know it, you're not just tired, you're spiritually empty. You're not just frustrated, you're bitter. You're not just overwhelmed. You're starting to believe there's no way out. But the truth is, there is a way out. And it starts by guarding what you let into your thinking. The enemy doesn't always come knocking with a loud voice or a dramatic storm. Sometimes he whispers. Whispers of doubt, whispers of fear, whispers of shame. And if you don't learn how to recognize those voices for what they are, they'll start to feel like your own. You'll think those lies are your thoughts. I'm not good enough. This will never change. I've messed up too much. But those aren't your thoughts. They're attacks. And you have the power to silence them. You don't have to let every thought take root. Just because it knocks on your door doesn't mean you have to let it live in your mind. You've got to train yourself to speak truth louder than those lies, because your mind is the gatekeeper of your peace. And when life gets heavy, and it will, what you've stored up in your heart and mind will either be your prison or your protection. If you've been feeding on worry, fear, comparison, and negativity, you won't have anything to lean on when the storm hits. But if you've been feeding on truth, on faith, on gratitude, then even when the wind blows and the waves rise, something inside you will hold steady. You see, your mind was never meant to be a garbage bin for everything the world throws at you. It was meant to be a garden, something you cultivate with care. You wouldn't leave your front door wide open for wild animals to run in and destroy your home. But how often do we do that with our thoughts? We scroll through voices that speak fear. We entertain conversations that sow doubt. We replay every failure in our minds like it's on a loop. And then we wonder why we feel stuck, why we feel anxious, why joy is so hard to hold on to. The truth is, peace doesn't come by accident. Joy doesn't grow in neglect. You've got to be intentional. You've got to make a decision every single day. I will not dwell on what went wrong. I will not meditate on fear. I will not let bitterness rent space in my mind. I will choose thoughts that build, not break, that heal, not harm, that lift, not limit. And when those negative thoughts come, and they will, you've got to speak back. You've got to say, no, that's not who I am. That's not where I'm going. That's not what God says about me. There is power in replacing those destructive thoughts with truth. Instead of, I'll never get through this, say, this too shall pass. Instead of, I've lost everything, say, God is my source. Instead of, I'm not enough, say, I am fearfully and wonderfully made. When you shift the narrative in your mind, you change the atmosphere of your life. Your outlook changes. Your energy changes. Your choices change, and slowly, that joy you thought was gone forever begins to rise again. Sometimes the most spiritual thing you can do is rest your mind, not by checking out, but by checking in with the truth. Stop letting your mind run 24/7 without a filter. Stop giving your thoughts full control. Step in. Take back your peace. Be present. Be aware. Be firm. Say, no more. No more rehearsing regrets. No more predicting worst-case scenarios. No more carrying the weight of what you were never meant to carry. Push yourself to center your mind on what is good, what is pure, what is lovely, what is true. Push yourself to tune out the noise and tune into what really matters. And if you're in a place right now where your mind feels like chaos, don't be ashamed. You're not broken, you're in a battle. But battles can be won. You just need the right weapons. And the greatest weapon you have is truth. Truth that reminds you who you are. Truth that anchors you when your emotions try to drown you. Truth that stands unshaken when the world is spinning. Speak that truth over yourself every single day, even when you don't feel it. Especially when you don't feel it. Because joy doesn't come when the noise stops. It comes when you learn how to be still in the middle of it. When your mind is guarded, your heart is steady. When your mind is filled with light, your spirit won't be pulled into the shadows. Protect your mind and you'll protect your peace. Protect your peace and you'll rediscover joy. There will be days when joy feels like the hardest thing to reach. Days when your heart is heavy, your spirit is tired, and your mind is flooded with questions. On those days, speaking life over yourself is not easy. It's a fight. It's a choice you make in the dark with no applause, no comfort, no guarantees. And yet, that's where the real power lies. When you open your mouth and declare hope in the middle of despair, that's when the atmosphere around you begins to shift. Words are not just sounds, they are seeds. They go out and they plant something. They either grow peace or feed pain. And too many people wake up each day speaking death over themselves without even realizing it. I'm not strong enough for this. Nothing ever works out for me. I don't know how I'm going to make it. Those words don't just describe your situation. They shape it. They reinforce fear. They lock in doubt. And over time, you begin to live according to what you've spoken. But God didn't design you to echo defeat. He designed you to speak victory. He gave you a mouth not just to communicate with others, but to prophesy over your own life. To call things that are not as though they are. To remind your soul of what it tends to forget when life gets hard. And when you begin to speak truth, when you speak peace, even in the storm, when you speak strength, even in your weakness, when you speak joy, even through tears, you are watering the ground of your own soul. You may not feel strong. That's okay. Say it anyway. Say, I am strong. You may not feel joyful. Say, today is a gift and I will rejoice in it. You may not feel hopeful. Say, my future is in good hands. Don't wait for your emotions to give you permission to speak life. Lead your emotions with your words. You are not a prisoner to your feelings. You are not bound to the weight of discouragement. You have been given power. The power to speak, and by speaking, to shift what surrounds you. Think about it, the same voice that complains can bless. The same mouth that curses can praise. You decide which one takes over. And if you've spent years speaking from pain, it's time to learn how to speak from faith. Faith doesn't mean pretending things are fine. It means acknowledging the reality, but declaring something higher. It means saying, yes, this hurts, but it will not destroy me. Yes, this feels like loss, but I still believe God is working. Yes, I'm tired, but I know strength is coming. Speaking life is an act of war. It's how you push back against the lies that say you're not enough, not loved, not seen. It's how you fight against the heaviness that tries to settle over you like a fog. And when you learn to do this consistently, not just when it's easy, but especially when it's hard, something changes in you. Your resilience grows. Your faith deepens. Your outlook becomes clearer because your mouth is not just repeating what your eyes see. It's declaring what your spirit knows. Some mornings, you have to talk to yourself before the world gets a chance to talk to you. Before the news, before the voices of others, before the weight of yesterday tries to sit on your shoulders again. You look yourself in the mirror and you say, you are chosen. You are covered. You are not alone. This day has purpose. This pain has meaning. This moment is not the end. And you say it out loud, not because you feel it, but because you need to hear it. There's a reason why the psalmist said, why are you downcast, O my soul? Put your hope in God. He was talking to himself. Sometimes you have to be your own preacher. You have to remind your own heart of what it wants to forget. Because feelings fade, but truth stands. Circumstances shift, but God's promises don't. And when your words are anchored in His truth, they carry weight. they break chains, they lift burdens, they clear the fog. So don't underestimate what comes out of your mouth. You can't control everything in your life, but you can control what you speak. And when you align your words with hope, with purpose, with the promises of God, you begin to create a space for joy to return. Even if your heart is still healing, even if the situation hasn't changed, you are building something eternal every time you speak life into a dry place. Push yourself to speak life. Not because it's easy, but because it's necessary. Because even when life is hard, your words can bring light. And sometimes all it takes is a whisper of faith to silence the loudest fear. One of the most overlooked sources of either peace or pain in our lives is the people we keep close. You can do everything right, pray, work hard, speak life, protect your mind. But if you're constantly surrounded by darkness, it's going to be hard to keep your light burning. That's why you have to be intentional about who has access to your mind, your heart, your energy, and your ears. Not everyone who's present in your life is supposed to be permanent. And not everyone who talks sweet to you is speaking life into you. Some people walk into your life like a breath of fresh air. They speak peace, they lift your spirit, and they leave you better than they found you. Others, whether they mean to or not, drain you. They cloud your mind with worry, your heart with heaviness, and your spirit with confusion. And if you're not careful, you'll start to carry burdens that were never yours to carry. You'll start to internalize other people's fears, their opinions, their chaos. Before you know it, your joy is gone. Not because of your own problems, but because of the weight other people dumped on you. You have to understand that protecting your joy means guarding your circle. You weren't meant to entertain everyone's complaints. You weren't built to absorb everyone's trauma. You are not the landfill for every negative thought people want to dump. It's not selfish to step away from toxic energy. It's wise. It's not unkind to distance yourself from gossip and division. It's necessary. Because if you spend enough time around people who speak darkness, you'll start losing your desire for the light. Some of the most subtle ways the enemy steals joy is through relationships that look harmless but are spiritually draining. It's that friend who always highlights the worst. That conversation that always leaves you doubting your worth. That person whose words sound sweet but are filled with poison. And every time you walk away from them, you feel smaller, weaker, more confused. That's not coincidence, that's influence. And influence can be the difference between joy and despair. If someone constantly belittles your growth, mocks your boundaries, questions your calling, or tries to drag you back into who you used to be, they don't love you, they want to control you. And no one has the right to dim the light God placed in you. No one gets to speak defeat over your journey when God has already spoken victory. You've come too far to let the wrong voices steal your progress. You've healed too much to reopen wounds just to make someone else comfortable. Push yourself to stay around light. Surround yourself with people who speak truth, even when it's uncomfortable. People who celebrate your joy, not resent it. People who pray with you, not prey on your vulnerability. People who don't just take from you, but pour into you. Because you don't just need company, you need covering. You need people who see your soul and protect it. People who know your struggles, but still believe in your future. People who remind you who you are when life tries to make you forget. There is no shame in creating distance from people who repeatedly dishonor your peace. You are not required to keep doors open for those who consistently walk in with chaos. Love them, yes. Pray for them, absolutely. But guard your heart. Joy is fragile in the early stages of healing. And if you've been through enough pain already, you can't afford to let the wrong voices set up camp in your spirit. Sometimes we think loyalty means staying connected no matter what. But true loyalty starts with being loyal to your purpose, to your calling, to your peace. It means knowing when to say, I love you, but I can't go backward with you. I care for you, but I can't carry you if it means losing myself. I'm still healing, and I have to protect that healing. That's not weakness, that's wisdom. That's stewardship of the joy God is trying to restore in you. And yes, this may mean you end up with a smaller circle, fewer phone calls, fewer invitations. But that's okay, because peace is not found in a crowd. Peace is found in alignment. Joy is not maintained by popularity. Joy is sustained by presence. The presence of the right voices, the right energy, and above all, the presence of God. So if you're pushing yourself to be happy every day, make sure you're not surrounding yourself with people who feed your fear more than your faith. Make sure the company you keep is part of your healing, not your hurt. Because when you walk with those who carry light, your own light burns brighter. And in a world full of shadows, that light, your joy, is worth protecting at all costs. If God gave you breath this morning, then He gave you purpose. You weren't accidentally included in this day. You didn't just wake up to go through the motions. You were chosen to rise again, chosen to walk into another day, no matter how hard yesterday was. And that's not something to take lightly, because when life feels heavy, when the burdens pile up and the silence gets loud, it's easy to wonder, why am I still here? What's the point in pushing forward? But I want to remind you that the very fact that you woke up is a declaration that your story isn't over. So many people are breathing but not living. They go through the motions, eyes open but hearts shut down. Joy feels far away. Passion feels lost. They start surviving instead of thriving. But you don't have to live like that. You don't have to settle into that numbness. Because the breath in your lungs is not just oxygen, it's evidence. Evidence that God isn't finished with you. Evidence that there's still more for you to do, more to become, more to learn, more to give, more to see. You may be walking through a season right now that feels dry, confusing, even unfair. You've cried prayers that haven't been answered. You've done the right things but seen no change. And part of you wants to quit. Part of you wants to stop caring so much, to stop hoping, to stop believing. But hear this, just because the road is hard doesn't mean you've taken the wrong path. Just because the pain persists doesn't mean you're being punished. Some of the most beautiful things God builds in us come through the hardest seasons we walk through. There is something sacred about pushing through, even when nothing around you feels worth fighting for. There is something holy about waking up and deciding, I'm going to live this day with purpose, even though the tears are still fresh. And it's not about ignoring reality or pretending to be strong. It's about honoring the breath you've been given. It's about recognizing that each day is a fresh canvas, and even if yesterday was painted with pain, today can still hold peace. You might be thinking, but I'm tired. Yes, I know. Tired in your body, tired in your heart, tired in your soul. But that's exactly why you have to lean into grace. You were never expected to do this alone. That's why His strength is made perfect in weakness. That's why you're allowed to rest in Him, to fall into His arms when you don't have the strength to stand. Because your worth is not in your performance, it's in your presence. You are valuable simply because you're here, and He's still writing your story. This breath, this heartbeat, this moment, it matters. You may not see the whole picture now. You may not understand how today fits into the bigger plan. But don't despise the day of small steps. Don't overlook the miracle of simply continuing. Pushing yourself to be happy isn't about pretending that everything is fine. It's about choosing to find beauty even in the middle of brokenness. It's about trusting that something greater is being formed, even when your eyes can't yet see it. When you woke up this morning, you were handed a fresh opportunity, an invitation to trust again, to smile again, to dream again, even if your dreams feel like they've been buried under the rubble of disappointment, even if your heart is still tender from what you've lost. The fact that you're still here means the door hasn't closed. The chapter hasn't ended. The sun still rose over your life, and that light is speaking something powerful. There is still purpose in your pain. There is still life in your calling. There is still joy available, even now. You don't have to chase a perfect life to find peace. You don't have to wait for the chaos to end before you choose contentment. You can be walking through hell and still hold heaven in your heart. Because joy isn't about your circumstances. It's about your perspective. And when you realize that your very existence is a sign of divine intention, you stop looking for external validation and start living from internal conviction. There are people in your life right now who are watching you, watching how you carry the weight, watching how you walk through fire, and your perseverance is preaching louder than any sermon. Your ability to rise again, to show up, to choose light even when it costs you. That's powerful. That's purpose in motion. So don't underestimate what your daily decision to keep going really means. It's not small. It's not ordinary. It's extraordinary. This life is not easy, but it is a gift. And every breath is a chance to try again. So today, push yourself to honor it. Don't waste the breath you've been given. Use it to live with courage, speak with truth, love without fear, and rejoice. Not because life is perfect, but because God is present.